Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today we'll be talking to the love coach, Barry Selby. We'll be talking to him about how do we, build our self-confidence, how do we find love again, especially, some people just been in bad relationship, or some people just don't know how to, feel and find their worth and don't think they're perfect to find themselves a perfect guy or perfect woman, whatever that might be. My guest is an inspirational speaker, relationship expert, best-selling author, spiritual guide, and is a love doctor. Barry Selby is an inspirational speaker, as I originally said. He's passionate and a champion for driving feminine, dedicated to helping strong, successful women create greater balance in love, life, and in business. He's on a mission to awaken women to own and express their feminine magnificence and majesty in love and in the world. He helps his clients attract relationships that equals who they truly are. Have you ever been in a relationship and you're not quite sure if this is equals to you? Are you giving more? Or are you not getting as much as you want from that relationship because you don't feel probably you're not good enough and you feel that person is probably too perfect for you? So you're not giving enough. Well, my guest today will be talking about this critical issue and helping you to identify how to grow from it. And as an expert and coach for single, he seeks to reevaluate your relationship and help you to really discover your self-love. He's a #1 best-selling author. He's written the book 50 Ways to Love Your Lover, helps singles and couples embody powerful principles for compassion, gentle and calm masculinity. He's helped clients around the world, and now he's taken his time out of his schedule to talk to us about his work, what led him on this path, and how he can help you, our audience, who might have questions about your relationship, might have questions about, am I enough? Should I be in this relationship? He will be answering your question. Meet my amazing guest, Barry, as we discuss these issues. Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. As I said in my introduction, today's conversation will really spark your interest and get you excited and through thinking about your life. Women out there, grab your seats, listen to this conversation. It'll help your relationship and help you find the confidence you're looking for. And with a love coach, Barry Selby, he'll be telling us about his own journey, why he started this whole conversation to help women platform, and more importantly, how you could find your best self in your own relationship. Barry, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the opportunity to share your platform. Basically, it's a great privilege. So thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. And where are you joining me from? Where are we? I'm based out in London, United Kingdom. And you?
No, I'm an Essex boy, but I live in California. So I'm West Coast California in America.
Oh, nice. So, Barry, when I look at your story and your work, you've done amazing work. You're an international speaker, you're a relationship expert, you're an author as well. Mm-hmm. Before we get into all these things you are, who are you?
Well, I said I'm an Essex boy, so I'll give you that part. I'm someone who basically made a lot of mistakes along the path. Mm. However, the difference between me and other people may be that I want to do something about it. In the sense that, yes, oftentimes I know people make mistakes in their career and they may fix those, but I was very aware that the human side, the heart side, the relationship side was where I knew I could do better than I was doing. I mean, like everybody else, I didn't come in with a user manual when I was born. And my parents certainly didn't have one when I was being raised. So it was very clearly hit and miss. You know, it was best guess all the way. And my dating life was like that too. And I knew there was better options out there. Wow. And in fact, there are plenty of options out there, many books and teachers who I've worked with. So really my work and why I do what I do is because I want to do better relationships. And through that, I would say I want to help other people, so I'm better at it. It's really, I want to help myself, so then help other people. It's kind of like, there's not one before the other. They're both the same for me.
Yeah.
And really, I've always been, I would say, I mean, I was bullied in high school, which put me on a path of more humility. So I didn't come into the world going, I can take care of everything, I handle everything. It was more like, how do I fit in? And that was probably what drove me into my quest to know more about myself and other people. So that's probably the simplest way of describing my beginnings, so to speak.
No, that's amazing, because when you think about it, you help women. And that's very, when women think of people helping them, they're always women themselves helping them, because we always think women have been through that circumstances, so women understand what women are going through, like that movie, What Women Want. But you have very openly said to helping strong, successful women create greater balance in love, life, and business. In your background, what led you to that path of more focusing on the women's side to say, this is what I want to do to really help these women? I've seen their challenges and I want to help them out of it.
Well, there's one particular moment in time I'll come to in a minute, but truly in my upbringing, again, being bullied in high school by the boys, I found safety amongst the girls. So I always felt comfortable around women. It wasn't much, no, it was comfortable. I was just safer, to be honest, because they didn't beat me up, to be honest.
Exactly.
So I always found myself having more female friends. It's almost been my way of life, is I always had more female friends. But again, I didn't do well in relationships. I made many mistakes, and I've been on the personal growth path for 35 years, 36 years, so I've done this for a long time. And even with all the stuff I'd learned, even with all the skills I had with my master's degree and my spiritual path and everything else, I still kept making mistakes. And sometimes when desperation hits, you get like spirit steps in and gives you a clue. And this was back in 2007. I was through a serendipitous conversation. I got led to an event. I'm skipping a lot of the details to get to the heart of it. But in that first opportunity, I got to explore what masculine and feminine polarity really was, because I'd never heard of it before. I didn't know what it was before. And so I was in this workshop, a weekend event in LA, and there were men and women in the rooms in separate sides of the room, which reminded my Jewish upbringing as a kid, but it wasn't that sort of format. But basically, the men would go to separate rooms, women go to separate rooms for practices to embody masculine and feminine energetics. Yes. I, of course, had no idea what the women were doing because I was in the men's room. But each break we would come back together, like into the room, and just do more processes, more practices. But on the last break, we didn't just come back in the room. We actually formed two lines facing each other down the middle of the hotel room. It was like this big conference room. And they're probably about 50, 60 men, 50, 60 women, give or take, facing each other. And at this point, we've spent the whole weekend embodying our aligned masculinity or femininity. And that was the epiphany, so to speak, because when I was looking across the room at the women facing me, I was definitely standing in my masculinity at that point. I'd opened up, which in my past relationships, I'd never had a clue about. I definitely have clear understanding of why I messed up in past relationships, because I didn't stand in my masculine heart. I'll explain more about that in a moment if you wish to know more about that. But when I saw the women facing me across the room, it was a wall of femininity I'd never experienced before. True feminine majesty is the only word I would use for it. Yes. And when I saw those women, even though I was still holding my space and standing in my truth and being strong in masculinity, inside, I fell to my knees in worship. I absolutely knew at that moment that my life was dedicated to serving the feminine energy on the planet. Yes. Because that wall of femininity, I reached into my heart in a way that I never experienced before. Wow. And it's what drives my work. I mean, it's what inspired my work, because I now see what the power of what femininity is really about, the majesty, the grace, the magnificence of the energy women carry. Sorry, I'm qualify that for a second. I'm speaking in general terms. Yes. Men aligning with masculinity, women aligning with femininity, because there's obviously overlap and stuff. But also because the one thing I learned in that workshop as well is, for me as a masculine man, I needed to have a why, a reason for being on the planet. And to serve the feminine was clearly what my why was, and is. Yeah, and it's true. I think it doesn't matter. Sometimes we always think, okay,
It's almost like a doctor. A doctor could be male or female, and a female doctor could equally understand a female very well, understand her problems, because it's sometimes you just connect, you find certain paths, and you see certain times men see certain things that we women don't see. Because I mean, when I listen to your conversation, and listen to what you post on your social handles, I'm like, wow, he really understands what the key issues we're going through, and that also brings me to my question. How do you really understand? Because one of the things you say, awaken women to own and express feminine majesty and in love and in this world. How can a woman get to learn to awaken that part of us so we could really understand and own it?
Well, part of it is undoing, I don't want to say damage is the wrong word, but undoing the habits that women have been trained to do, which is to copy the men, especially in the business world. The business world, as I've said in many interviews, the business world was created by men for men, and the women have been trying to fit in ever since sexual revolution. When women got into the business world, they acted like men. I mean, if they weren't the secretaries of being the flirty ones, they were basically competing with men on their own grounds. They had to do what men did. And when it comes to relationship, women didn't always disengage. At least my experience in relationships with women who were business types, we would be doing this a lot in relationship, because it's like, who was on top energetically, masculine energy against masculine energy. I didn't know what it was at the time, the languaging, but I felt that combativeness. And so I know, first of all, that one of the biggest challenges for women is to realize that being in their masculine energy is not the strongest place they can be. The lie that's been told to women for millennia is that men are stronger than women. Now, physically, that may be true, but energetically, the feminine is more powerful than the masculine. And I know I'm going to get a lot of men upset by saying this, but the truth is that in the yin and yang dance of masculine and feminine energy, the feminine is like nature. It's like the power of life itself. So the feminine is massively powerful. And what it's needed on the planet right now is the feminine energy to bring life back to the planet, to bring us back together in a collaboration, because feminine energetic is also about bringing together. It's about collaboration. It's about mutual benefits, one way of putting it, but it's about that support of each other.
Yes.
The masculine is about competition and winning and beating the other person. That's kind of the way we're built. Because the hunter, as some of my teachers talk about, we're out there to get the prize. And sometimes at great cost to others. So the feminine is the one about, we can do it a different way. And I believe that's what the planet and our society and the world needs, is feminine leadership.
You also focus a lot on single women, helping them rediscover self-love. I have a lot of single friends, and one of the things I find in common with them, they might not be happy with me, but I noticed that they have this self-doubt about men. They have this really they have this big question mark when it comes to men, especially when my single friends, they're much older, they're in their late 30s. There's this question mark about men. How do we get more single women loving themselves and believing that what they're looking for is still out there, but they need to love themselves a little bit more?
Cool. How much time do we have? Give the Cliff Notes version, the short version.
Yes.
And this is not, and men aren't very much different for this, except we hide it better. But women basically have been looking for love externally for most of their lives.
Yes.
And they've been trained to think that the knight in shining armor is going to come save them. The man's going to ride up and be their hero. He might, but don't wait for him. Love yourself first. That thing, and this is a lot of women do this, and I know there's an issue for a lot of women, especially in the late 30s, early 40s, where the biological clock has been hitting them hard. That ticking is so loud, they can't even think clearly. I know I have girlfriends like that. And understanding that challenge is that women's lives are much bigger than just that piece, first of all. And secondly, for a lot of women, they've been told by society, especially by the marketing media, that they will only be perfect when they have the right makeup, the right diet, the right looks, the right clothes, the right designer. And the truth is, women are perfect regardless of all of that. I mean, such as the way men are sold to with cars, and women are too, but like we have the same issue coming our way with marketing as well. So I'm not saying marketing is only aimed at women. However, Women are looked at as the bigger market, so they've been inundated and pummeled by false marketing that's saying they're incomplete without our product. And so women have believed that forever, and especially single women without in a relationship, a lot of times they're in a place where they feel like there's something wrong with them because they're not in a relationship. And again, these are generalities. A lot of women are doing fine on their own. And a lot of women I know in business who are doing amazing work as feminine leaders. So there is a change coming. So I'm not saying this is like my own job only. I have a lot of female friends who are amazing feminine leaders in life, in love, and everywhere else. So I'm just helping spread the message in a way. And for a lot of women who are single, they're carrying their wounds from past relationships, and they're wearing them on their sleeves. You know, that hurt they have from the past breakup, from the last heartbreak, from the man who didn't treat them right. Maybe a narcissist, maybe, and that seems to be a lot of talking about recently, but I don't think it's always that case. Just men, frankly, don't really have emotional understanding. So in a breakup, a lot of times men just shut down and go away. Was it just me? Maybe I just did that.
No, I think a lot of men do that. No, it's not just you. I think a lot of men. I've heard so many women say that so when they go through a breakup, a man is so easy. It's easier for the man to shut down, go away. And
let me say this though: it's not easier; it's just convenient. Because what we can do, what usually the women do, is we can compartmentalize. One of the gifts of the masculine mind is we can separate everything's discrete thoughts. Is that there's a video series on YouTube by a minister back east in the state he's in, east of the United States, who did a workshop for his congregation called The Tale of Two Brains. There's a video series on YouTube. It's probably 10 years old now. It talks about how women's brains and men's brains are wired differently. And he uses a very simple metaphor, but he says that men's brains are like lots of little discrete boxes, every thought in a separate box, never touching or complete. So when you ask a man a question, he goes and finds that one box, gives you the answer to that question, and puts it back in the box and puts it away again. So when asking a question, you know, like about a breakup, is like, it was fine. That's it, like complete simple. The challenge for women is because women's brains are wired differently, they don't understand why a man says that. A woman's brain, the way he describes it, is like it's the woman's brain is one long continuous thread connecting everything. So you ask a woman a question, she'll answer that question with everything that goes around it too. So women are more expressive than men. That's naturally the way that women are. And again, this is more, again, overlaying feminine on women and masculine on men. It's generally the alignment that happens. So because, as one of my favorite teachers, Alison Armstrong says, that the problem that women have is they think that men are just hairy women. They don't recognize that we're different.
I like
so we have to recognize that men's emotional lack of response is just simply their way of processing that stuff. That it doesn't mean they have to do the same thing. If women who get upset with that, is the truth is that women feel generally more openly, more vulnerably, more emotionally than men do on an expressive level. And so the women who are single, a lot of times are carrying that wounds from past relationships they never understood or healed. And part of my work with women is one, to help them heal and to love themselves, because the key to a healthy relationship is being filled up first. So you can then love somebody else. Versus coming from lack, saying, I need you to fill me up. It's like, no, that's not healthy. It may be romantic, but it's not healthy.
But how can women fill ourselves up? What can we do? What tips would you say to women to help fill yourself up?
Well, they can work with me, of course. No.
Of course, yes.
But simplistic putting it is first of all, watch what you tell yourself. You know, women, like men too, we do the same thing, have a tendency to really criticize ourselves, put it that way. You know, again, because the marketing media is put onto a hyper, you know, we have the right makeup or the right this, the right that. Women, for a lot of times, they've got doubt about their own self-esteem because the way the world keeps bombarding them with false information. There's one part is stop listening to the outside influence, listen to your own heart. That's the first step, one step. Second one is to do things that support yourself energetically. Do self-love activities, whether it's taking bubble baths or doing yoga classes, things that take care of your physical body, or doing things that are renewing to your mind and your emotions. There's some things you can do that women forget to do. A lot of times women are so driven, especially back to the business world. Women are in the world competing with men, and they're thinking that man's going to make them feel happy. It's like, be happy first. Because then who shows up, you'll be more happy. Or if he doesn't show up, you're okay anyway.
Absolutely. That's true. Yeah. And
So
no, that really answers it, because I think sometimes we neglect that. We forget those little small tips that could actually make a difference in our life. And until you fill yourself up, until you're really contented, even a mother, even being a mother, if you're not happy with yourself, you know, you can't give all that energy to the baby. So sometimes you need to take that step back. And I truly agree with that, Barry. You're an author and you've written a book with 50 Ways to Love Your Lover.
Mhm.
Like, not to love yourself, to love your lover. Right? Why did you write this book, and why the title, To Love Your Lover? What difference does that make?
Well, that was actually the title originally. That was actually a subtitle. The book was going to be called Rules of Romance or something fancy like that. A very masculine title. Even the book's dedicated to more women than men. Basically, it's 50 principles for healthy relationships. And it talks about everything from self-love to how you function in the world, to how you deal with your past, to how you be in a relationship. It's 50 tips and keys to get you started on the path. It's funny because it came out a couple of years before 50 Shades of Grey, but it's nothing to do with that. It's just a number coincidence.
Yes,
yeah. And basically the book started out as a friend of mine who was a marketing person said, you know, because I was asking, like, what do I do to get my business more visible? He said, well, write out, like, on social media what you believe about relationships, about how to be in a relationship, and all sort of things. So I put on social media posts on, like, Facebook at the time, probably maybe 60, 65 different principles I thought about relationships. You know, this is this piece, this piece, this piece. And because they're on social media, I knew they were going to disappear. So I saved them to a Word document and just said, I'll do something with these at some point.
Yes.
And then I was thinking about what I'm going to do with these. And a little voice, I call it spirit, but you can call it one, but a little small voice in the back of my head said, I'll write a book. And I was like, no, I'm not an author. I don't write books. And I basically kept asking the question, getting the same answer, ignoring it for about 2 weeks. And finally, I was just like, okay, fine. If I'm going to do this, how do I do it? And then that voice said, well, you do this, 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 and this. And I'd already realized I'd done the steps. I'd helped other people create books on, at that time, it's called CreateSpace, which is Amazon's self-publishing platform. I had a background in graphic design, so I could create the cover, and I'd done layout for somebody else. And I realized that all those things I'd written were the chapter headings. Every one of those principles I could expand because I'd written the format. It's like I'd written the structure without filling in the detail. For me, that was like no brainer. I could do that. And so basically it became, okay, look at those 65 and ended up becoming 50 because that was a nice round number. And I just expanded what I wrote. And I wrote the first draft in 6 weeks, which scared me completely. So it took me another year to finish it.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, and is the book available now on Amazon, or are you still?
It's on Amazon. It's been out since 2014, 2013. It's been out for 6-7 years now.
And
it's also on my website. There's an ebook version there, and there's a Kindle version as well. So yeah.
Okay, that's really good. My final question, which I must ask you, I think this is, everyone wants to know this question, is that women always, how can a woman attract a perfect match? Even if they feel imperfect, women always have this thing, we always feel we're imperfect, where our looks are not good enough, we're not contributing enough to the family, we're not doing this, we're always feeling imperfect, we're not, especially the looks wise, we always have this question. So how can we attract the perfect person? You're a single girl and you want to attract that person, but you're not quite sure how. How can we go about with doing it?
So you asked me the hardest question at the end when we're supposed to wrap up. Nicely done.
Yes.
Simply put, I was actually in a meetup on Saturday, a bunch of people from Clubhouse, which is the app I play a lot on. And one of the girls said to me, it's like, give me a quick tip. Like, you know, if you give me 1 point, it's like, here's the thing. Women forget the biggest gift is they have the ability to attract what they want. Most women have been trained because of the dating apps to search for, to hunt down, to pursue the men. No. The power women have is to attract. So if that's the case, first of all, notice what you are attracting. Is that good or bad? Because then you know that you can redirect or realign. And then because you know you can attract what you want, it's time to get clear what that is. I have an online course called Attract the Man You Want for women to help them attract the man they want. I mean, that's why it's called that. Yeah. But basically in it, it's the key things about creating a vision and an intention and an energetic experience that aligns to what they want to have in their relationship. So when they meet somebody that fits that, they'll feel the alignment. So it's not like the man's going to show up right away, but they'll be more able to, like almost like a detector. They'll be able to they'll meet men and go, no, that's not the one, but that one, that fits. And they'll know more easily what it is. So it's really good, starts inside. as I keep saying, it's always about starting inside.
And anyone who wants to follow your page, how do they find you? In case people want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you, Barry?
Well, Instagram is where you said you were checking out my stuff.
Yes,
So,
I did.
Instagram.com/the-real-Barry Selby. I used to have Barry Selby, but that got hacked, so I'd start over. So now it's the real Barry Selby. I have a very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Well filled out YouTube channel. It has like 1,100 videos on it. So if you go to youtube.com/Barry Selby, I had a lot of Facebook Lives and a lot of my web show with a friend of mine posted there. So if you want to just peruse my library, you can check out my stuff there.
Yes.
And if you want to check out my website, get in touch, you go to my site, which is my name, barryselby.com.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, Barry, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I believe we women, from listening to this conversation, will be able to understand what do we truly want and how can we really get what we want as well. I love this. And thank you so much for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much.